Everyone, and welcome back to What a Story. Today's guest is tearing up the comedy scene in Canada. Ian, how you doing? Introduce yourself.
Oh, well, because you can't say my last name, it's Ian Sirota, and
Yeah,
I'm doing quite well on this Sunday.
that's cool. So how long have you been doing comedy, and what got you into it?
I've been doing it about 30-ish years, maybe, maybe under maybe 90s. I think I started, and I got into it because I lost my job, and my girlfriend took me to. I lived in Montreal at the time. Took me to the Comedy Nest in Montreal, and to cheer me up. And I saw some stand-up comedy. I thought they weren't that funny, and I said, "Oh, that didn't cheer me up. I could have done that." And she said, "Yeah, well then do it, right?" And then about a month later, I did it. Back then, that club was owned by John Oakley, who's now like a radio personality in Toronto, and Jimbo. And I did it, and I went really well. And they were like, "Why don't you come back?" And then next thing I know, I'm working at that club, cleaning up floors and urinals and taking phone calls and doing as much stage time as I can. And then a year later, I moved to Toronto, and so the story ends there.
Like most Toronto dreams, they died.
Yeah, I've had a pretty good career, I think. I've managed to be a full-time stand-up comic for quite a long time, and I do writing as well. I've written on quite a few shows, and I love it and hate it, I agree, but I feel blessed to be able to do it without having to do another job. So I guess that's a Canadian dream right there.
Yes, that's the Canadian dream. That and living in LA where we can wear shorts in February.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in Canada, it's, doing it full time and being able to afford a semi-detached house. That's like the dream come true.
Yes. How'd you meet your wife?
Oh, it's good. Actually, I was at one point in my career, I wasn't making enough money just when I kind of moved to Toronto. And I was like 3 or 4 years in, and I got a job working for Canada Post. And I met my wife was on my route in one of the businesses that I would deliver to because at the time, like like delivery guys and postmen, like it's great first impression. You meet them, you talk to the same two people for 2 to 3 minutes a day, and you can develop crushes like that over time. And that's what happened. And we end up meeting. But a side funny story to that is, so I got a job writing on a TV show called Comedy Inc. At the time I was working at Canada Post, and I had to quit my job or change my hours because I had to meet the cast and crew at 1 o'clock every day while we were shooting or just before shoot in pre-production to go over our scripts and everything. And I told my boss, look, I need to change my schedule. And he's like, I can't change your schedule. And I go, well, then I can't work here. And he goes, nobody quits Canada Post. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I go, well, I gotta change it. And he goes, what are you gonna do? Not show up? And then I thought that's a brilliant idea. And I stopped showing up to work. And then I noticed there was kind of Post was ahead of its time. It had direct deposit back then before anybody. That every statutory holiday I would get paid, and every year I would get my 4% vacation pay, and it happened for years. And then at one point, I called Canada Post and I said, "You're paying me. You got to stop paying me." I called their accounting and they go, "Why would we pay you if you're not working there?" I go, "Why would I make this phone call if I wasn't worried about it?" I'm like, and they were like, they blew me off, so I just hung up and I didn't want to argue with them about it. So, cut to like 10 years later, I get a phone call, and I'm still getting paid by Canada Post. This is your government at work. Cut to 10 years later, I get a phone call from a lawyer who works for a collection agency, and he says, you owe Canada Post, the Canadian government, I guess, $10,000. And I'm like, well, I documented all the times I called you and contacted you to tell you to stop paying me. You didn't pay, you didn't stop. So what do you want to do? And he's like, I'll tell you what, if you give me $800, this is settled. and I gave him $800, and that only cost taxpayers, I guess, $9,200, and that was the end of my career with Canada Post 10 years later.
Okay, that was interesting. So, if anybody wants to find you, what are your socials?
Well, I don't know if I want Canada Post to find me.
Well, that's already been cleared. That's already been
Yeah, that's
cleared.
clear. Yeah. My socials are Ian Sirota. I think it's Ian Sirota Comic. That's where you can find me. I have a album coming out called. I have an album out called Role Play that you can thing or Facebook friend me anything. Come to one of my shows. I do it pretty often, so you'll see my name around.
Thank you for sharing your life and your stories.
Yeah, helpful, yeah.
And I will see you around the scene. So, well, thank you. And if you want, I will put the link for or like a picture of his album at the end, guys. All right. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I'll see you around the scene.
Thank you very much, David.
See ya.